In my previous video, I talked about some of the things I think is wrong with Sea of Thieves, and some of the things I think needs to be fixed by the default release of the game. In this video, I want to take a bit of a turn in the opposite direction, and talk about some of the things that I think is really good with Sea of Thieves, because like I said in my previous video, this game has a lot of potential to be a very good game, and I think it does a lot of things right, but my points do still stand in my previous video. If you haven't seen that video, I will leave a link in the description to my previous video, so you can go check it out if you haven't seen it already. So yeah, let's get into it. So I want to start off here by commenting on the art style and the graphic fidelity of the game itself. Now, graphics are a big thing in any video game nowadays. A lot of people are looking for high quality, realistic, good looking graphics, and I think so many people look at graphics as realism. If graphics aren't realistic, if the game doesn't look realistic, then the graphics are bad, and there's going to be people out there that think this game's graphics are pretty shit, when I think the art style in this game is beautiful. I love the cartoony art style with the sun beaming down upon the beach and the water. It just looks so beautiful at different times. I think the game does a very good job at making it look aesthetically pleasing. And like I've said before, I am a big fan of aesthetically pleasing things. Anything that looks aesthetically pleasing or good looking or just attractive looks very pleasing to my eyes, and I really like stuff like that. It's going to make me more intrigued to play that game more because the game just simply looks good. Now, I think the art style in this game is very good, but the graphics in the game, I think they're fine. I think the resolution, I'm not too sure what it is. On PC, I'm pretty sure you can probably max it up to like 4K, high graphic settings. It's probably going to look very beautiful on PC. I haven't played on PC, so I don't really know. But on Xbox, I'm guessing it's somewhere between 900 to 1080p. I haven't really looked it up. I probably should have actually looked this up before I started making this video. But overall, I think the resolution looks fine. I think it actually looks very crisp, so it does when you're playing the game visually. I don't think it really takes away from the experience. I'm not a big person for graphics anyway. I prefer FPS over graphics any day of the week. I definitely prefer like a 60 FPS game over a 30 FPS game. If the 60 FPS game has to look worse than the 30 FPS game, I'll probably see it. It just depends how much worse it actually looks. Now, when it comes to the actual pirate ship side of things, and when it comes to sailing around the sea, I think the game does this absolutely fucking amazing. I cannot praise this any more than anything pretty much. I think it does it so well, controlling the sails, controlling the angle of the sails, lifting them up and down, steering your wheel around, having to lower and raise the anchor. I think it's so cool. I am not a big thing when it comes to pirates. I know a lot of people are very into pirates and that style of thing. I'm not very into that, so I don't really know too much about like pirate ships or anything, so I wouldn't be the best on history about this, but one thing I do know is that the ship seems very authentic to an actual real pirate ship, which is very cool. I think they do a lot of that stuff very well, and jumping into it initially, it seemed very confusing because there was so much controls on the ship. You had to do a load of things to get the ship sailing, but roughly after about like 10 minutes in, it doesn't take that long to learn it. You'll be able to learn it in like 10 minutes, and you'll know how to sail a ship on your own. It doesn't take that long. It is quite hard to sail it, especially if you're a solo player though, trying to manage the sails and lift the anchor as well as trying to steer the ship, and if your ship crashes, trying to fix it up and steer the ship at the same time. It can be very difficult, so it can be if you're a solo player. So definitely having more people can be a lot of help, so it can be. But I do want to say this, the pirating in this game, or the sailing of the ship, is astonishing. It's so good, so it is, and I can't really praise it any more than that. Now, another thing I want to give praise to is the water itself. Just how the water looks. Well, not necessarily how the water, I've already covered the art style. As I said, the art style looks beautiful, but just the water itself, going underneath the water, it creates a very tense feeling of holy shit, this is scary. And I think a lot of sea games, or any game that you go underwater, generally does that. So it does, especially Skyrim. I was playing Skyrim, and I found an underwater like crash ship or whatever, which I didn't even know there was actually underwater parts in Skyrim. I just found this out like the other night, and it's after like 6 years after the game's release, and I'm only finding this out now. But yeah, I found this like crash ship in this like icy part of the world, and it was all dark water. It seemed very mysterious, and I just had that feeling of like that kind of turning in your stomach that just makes you feel on edge, and it makes you feel kind of like, this doesn't feel right, should I really be here? And I think the water in this game really creates that sense. Whenever you're diving down, it really feels scary. I really want to see more sea animals though. Right now, I believe there probably will be, I guess, in the full game, but if there's not, it would be kind of disappointing. But right now, there's only sharks, and I don't even believe there's any like fish or anything like that. I would really just like to see some more sea life in the game, maybe some octopuses, maybe some different types of sharks, like hammerhead sharks or anything like that, or like a big megalodon shark or something like that. It would be pretty cool to see something like that, like a really big, cool sea animal. Now, I do believe there's a kraken, and it will be in the full game. I'm not too sure if it is in this closed beta, but the kraken should be a pretty interesting boss. I imagine we will see more sea animals in the full release of the game, but I would like to see more, like not just like big special bosses and sharks. I would like to see some tiny animals, like maybe fish or something, which you could maybe go fishing. Was there fishing rods in pirate days? I'm not too sure. When was like pirates really a big thing? Like, I know it's a thing of history, but I'm not too sure. I don't really know anything about it. I'm not really big into history or anything like that. But maybe have like a fishing rod. You could go fishing, catch some fish instead of only eating bananas and different things. That could restore your health as well. Maybe you have the option to cook them. That would be kind of cool. I would like to see something like that. Overall, I do think they do a good job at creating that sense of urgency and scariness under the water. I think they do a very good job with that. Another thing I do want to comment on is how deep the water is. I'm not too sure if there's like a bottom part when you're stuck out in the middle of the ocean. Like, how deep exactly can you go? I've actually swum down quite deep at one point, and it kind of just kept going down and down and down. I'm not too sure how deep the actual water is, or if there's even like a stopping point to it, because you'll probably die before you actually hit anything. You probably end up drowning. Even though you do have a pretty big lung capacity in this game, you can swim for quite a long time without drowning. But it's kind of interesting. I would like to know something more about that. Or if you could maybe get some scuba gear or something and go down like into like really dark parts of the water where it's just like pitch black and there's like really scary monsters down there. So there's like that thing from Finding Nemo, like this thing with like a light in front of it or something, has like big teeth. If anyone's ever seen that movie, I don't know who hasn't seen Finding Nemo. I used to love that movie when I was younger. But yeah, I'd just like to see some more sea animals in the actual game itself. It'd be pretty cool and pretty interesting. Now for my last thing here, I just want to mention the enemies in the game. I think the enemies, and I mentioned in my last video, I feel as though there's kind of like a lacking of combat in the game, considering you spend a lot of time in the ship, and as I said, you can't really do anything to fix that. At least I couldn't really think of anything you could do to fix that. Maybe have like sharks, like maybe jump on your ship or something. That'd be interesting. Or have skeletons, even like skeletons in the water, maybe climb up from the side of your ship or something and like climb into your ship. That'd be kind of interesting. I think it would make the game maybe a bit too hard, because right now if you do crash your ship and trying to sail your ship, it can be hard enough, especially if you're a solo player. I'm not too sure how I would feel about that, but it would be a kind of interesting feature. But I do want to mention the combat is pretty good. I don't actually mind the combat too much. The sword combat kind of like locks on a little bit, but the lock on actually feels quite good. A lot of games do lock on quite badly, but I feel as though the lock on with the sword in the game is quite good. I don't believe there's any like aim assist or anything like that, which I don't really see why you would need aim assist in the game like this, I guess, but overall, I do quite like the combat. The weapons feel quite good, blasting through skeletons. Shooting sharks feels quite unsatisfying, because it takes so many shots to kill, and just like, it's like, have I killed him yet? I can't really tell if he's dead a whole lot of the time. Maybe I'm just stupid or something, I don't know. But overall, I do want to give a bit of praise to the combat. I don't actually mind it too much. I'm not too sure how I feel about it, because it feels unsatisfying, but I think it's good at the same time. It's just like in a 50-50 situation, but I do want to give some praise to the combat and actually the enemies. I quite like the variety of the skeletons and the sharks, even though we've only seen a couple so far. I think if there is more in the full game, which there should be more in the full game, because I did mention in my bad video about the game that I didn't feel as though there was enough variety in enemies, but I do hope to see that in the full release of the game. Okay, I was actually going to end the video here, but I just thought of one more thing. I just thought of shipwrecks in the game. I think shipwrecks are a pretty cool thing, and generally you're going to have shipwrecks in a game like this, especially a pirate game, but I think they are pretty cool, the way you can go down into the water and get some chests and some barrels with like cannonballs and bananas and different things like that. Generally you want to find chests, and you can generally find chests down there. Most of the time there's generally at least one, if not two chests in a pirate ship, or there might only be one. I think I came across one with two. I'm not too sure. I can't really remember too much. I might have, I'm not too sure, but I definitely came across one with definitely one anyway. Overall, I think they're pretty cool. I don't really understand though why the ship kind of like floats in the water. Why doesn't it sink to the bottom? I think that would be a more cool feature, even though the water is very deep and it wouldn't be very practical to be able to dig or swim the whole way down there. And as well, you wouldn't really know where to go if you couldn't really see the ship like floating in the water. But yeah, I think it would just be cooler with the ship sunken like down onto the ground. I think that would be very cool and really bring a feeling of more on edge, because whenever you go into the ship, it's too close to the surface, in my opinion, to really have that feeling of holy shit, this is scary. It does kind of have that because, like, of course there's sharks and stuff about, but overall I think if it was deeper down into the water and I was actually sitting on like some sort of surface of some sort of like actual ground, I think it would definitely bring a more realistic aspect to the game and bring a lot more of a kind of holy shit factor to whenever you're down there, and more of a on edge factor, which I think would be a pretty cool feature to the game itself. Anyway guys, that's pretty much all I can think of right now. I know I'm probably going to end up thinking of more after this video is going out. I'm pretty sure I said that in my last video as well, but right now that's all I can think of. So yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy, and yeah, I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.